right, so in the last three videos, you have looked at how to factor numbers, how to find the GCF of numbers, variables, and expressions. Now we're going to take it one step further and do objective 3. I can factor the GCF out of an expression. So the steps will be very similar to what you've been doing. The first step is to find the GCF of an expression. Then what's going to be different is you're going to divide each term by the GCF. You'll write your answer as the GCF times whatever's left after you divide, and then check your answer by distributing the GCF back into the parentheses and making sure you get the original problem back. So looking at example A here, factor the GCF out of each polynomial below. I'm going to make my markers a little thinner here. All right. So first thing we do is we find the GCF. So we want to look at our numbers first. We have 12 and 15. 12 is smaller, so we'll write our factors of 12. 1 times 12, 2 times 6, and 3 times 4. You do not have to write them out every time. In fact, a lot of you, and hopefully most of you, will get to the point where you can look at it and find the GCF without making the list. But if you need the list, make the list. So when we look there, we see that 12 won't go into 15, 6 doesn't go into 15, 4 does not go into 15, but 3 does. So we know that the GCF will start with 3. Then we look at the variables. X to the 5th and x cubed means that our variable will be x to the 3rd. 3 did not write very well. So what we want to do now is we want to divide both terms by 3x cubed. So if you remember back to properties of exponents, when you're dividing monomials like this, first you do 12 divided by 3. So we're at 3x cubed, that's our GCF. And then in parentheses, you're going to do 12 divided by 3, which is 4. And then just imagine if you have 5 x's and you take 3 x's out, you'll be left with 2 x's. We're not taking a negative out, so we're just going to leave our negative the same. 15 divided by 3 is 5. If I have 3 x's, I take 3 out. I'm left with none. We can double check that simply by multiplying that 3x cubed back into everything. So 3 times 4 is 12. X cubed times x squared is x to the 5th. Minus 15x cubed, which was our original problem, so we know that's correct. You can do the check step in your head if that is helpful. So let's look at B. Now we have a trinomial. So we're first, once again, going to look at just the numbers. The smallest number there is 4. Factors of 4 are 1 and 4. 4 does not go into 6, so we know it can't be 4. Oh, I forgot 2 and 2. Look at that. And then, but 2 will go into 4, 6, and 8, so 2 is part of that GCF. I should have made that one thinner. Sorry about that, guys. So, it'll be the GCF will be 2. Then you look at the variables. So you look at x cubed, x squared, and x to the 4. The smallest is x squared, so we put an x squared with our 2. Now we're going to divide by our GCF to everything. So write your GCF down first. Open up your parentheses. 4 divided by 2 is 2. If we have 3 x's, we take 2 out, we'll be left with 1x. Plus 6 divided by 2 is 3. If we have 2 x's and we take 2 out, we'll be left with none. And then minus 8 divided by 2 is 4. If we have 4 x's, we take 2 out, we'll be left with 2. If you wanted to rearrange the middle part to write it in standard form, you could, but at this point, we're not really worried about that. You could then just double check. 2x squared times 2x is 4x cubed. 2x squared times 3 is plus 6x squared. And 2x squared times negative 4x squared is negative 8x to the 4, which is what we started with, so we know that we have done it correctly. Final one we'll do together is C. So taking a look first at our numbers, 18, negative 24, and 36. The smallest number is 18, so we're going to make our list over here. So it's 1 and 18, 2 and 9, and 3 and 6. 18 does not go into 24, so we know that is not part of it. 9 does not go into 24, so we know that does not work. 6 goes into 18, 24, and 36, so we know that's part of the GCF. When we look, we see that each one of them has an x value. So the smallest x value is x squared. We will now divide by 6x squared to everything. So writing our 6x squared out front, opening our parentheses. 18 divided by 6 is 3. If I have 4 x's, I take 2 x's out, then I'm left with 2 x's. 24 divided by 6 is 4. I have 6 x's, I take 2 out, I'm left with 4. And 36 divided by 6 is 6. I have 2 x's, I take 2 out, I'm left with none. Checking back, 6x squared times 3x squared is 18x squared. 6x squared times negative 4x to the 4th is negative 24x to the 6th. And 6x squared times 6 is plus 36x squared. That matches what we had to begin with, so we are done. At this point, everything we're taking out is positive, so our signs should always stay the same as to what they were in the beginning of our trinomial. Now take a few minutes and do all of those examples at the bottom of your notes page. So here are the answers to the examples at the bottom of the page. Make sure you check them, watch your variables, and make sure that you've got the correct exponents. Remember that you could always distribute back in to make sure that you have indeed factored out your GCF correctly. Next week, we'll look at factoring trinomials, so stay tuned.